finally arrived. Hi and thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Phil, aka Phil, and today I was lucky enough to get a call from my local camera store, Fotoprofi in Esslingen, and after work I directly drove to their store to receive my Fujifilm X100VI. And I thought I will do a quick unboxing. Also today I received my Amazon package with my X100 accessories, which I will also put on the X100VI. And afterwards I will share some thoughts about this camera and why, in my opinion, although I bought it with my own money, I think this camera is partly overhyped, and I will dive into the opinion of most YouTuber reviews and why you might miss the message which most reviewers were telling you. But now let's go into the unboxing. Thank you very much to Fotoprofi in Esslingen. You guys just rock. Thanks to them I'm holding one of the first X100VI in my hands here in Germany. By the way, not sponsored. And here we go. I assume the unboxing experience will be similar to the previous X100s. Here's a little bit of paper work. And here we already have the camera. And from picking the camera up, I already can tell the weight difference compared to the X100V or X100VI, the processor. Let's just have a quick look into the other boxes. Camera strap, charging cable, ankle protectors, and the battery. And that's all. Like the previous X100V, you don't get any charger, only the USB-C cable and the battery, as already mentioned. I guess this is not the first X100VI video you are watching, but as you can see, this is the same battery like the previous one, and unfortunately not the bigger one from the X-T5 or X-T4. Therefore the battery life will be lower compared to the X-T5, I guess. But let's see. Okay, put that aside and let's pick this up. This is the This is the X100VI. You are seeing this also the first time like I do. I chose the silver edition. Let me show you why. I had the X100V before, also in silver, and I think the silver version of the X100 line looks quite amazing next to my Leica M6, also in silver. What do you think? I can already tell compared to the X100V, the previewers are right. It feels slightly heavier, although the battery is not in yet. And one of the reasons is the built-in IBIS, which I'm quite excited, especially to film a little bit with this camera. The X100V was not usable to film because you had a lot of micro jitters, and now pop in the battery. Yeah, it feels heavier, but good heavy. Here it is again. You have basically the body of this camera is the same like the X100V. To be honest, I didn't expect any changes on this camera body. Based on the economic situation of Fujifilm, it made sense to have the same housing. Therefore, you don't have to invest more money in new manufacturing machines or anything like that. Also, the price markup was for me not surprising because Fujifilm knows now that a lot of people will buy this camera. And currently, if you look at the hype on YouTube, seems they are able to sell a lot of them, although they price it more expensive compared to the processor. As I mentioned before, I also bought some accessories for my X100VI. First of all, this is just some screen protector, since the screen is just tiltable, but you can't flip it in to protect it if you don't use it. Therefore I bought a screen protector. Also, I have two of these ones from Haoge. not sure if I pronounce it correctly. First accessory I bought is a thumb grip, and the second one you might already know, since most of the X100 users are buying something like that, is a lens hood in retro design. Let's screw that on. I will leave the accessories, also a link down below in the description. For the thumb grip, just pop off the shoe and pop it in. That gives a little bit more grip to hold the camera. And the lens hood just gives the camera a better look, in my opinion. To get the X100 Mark VI or also the X100V weather sealed, you have to put a filter in front of it by screwing this off and screw in a UV filter, for example. And that's how my X100 Mark VI looks like, with the lens hood and the thumb grip. To be honest, I think you already saw this look 1,000 times in X100V videos, but I also wanted this for my X100 Mark VI. I'm pretty excited about this camera and can't wait to get out and shoot with it. As I mentioned, I picked this camera directly after work, therefore I didn't had time to do some snapshots. Also, I wanted to share my unboxing experience with you. Also quite excited to compare this just out of fun with my Nikon ZF. I think this camera is the perfect companion camera next to the ZF, for me at least, and also next to my film cameras like the Leica M6. They just look beautiful next to each other. But now back to the topic of the X100 Mark VI, why I already think that this camera is overhyped in some certain way right now on the internet, although I bought myself one as an early adopter. If you're in the camera space, you know that the X100V got hyped up thanks to social media, especially TikTok, and that camera was sold out the last few years, I think 3 or 4 years now. If you were able to get one, it was quite expensive on the second-hand market, and Fujifilm was not able to deliver the X100V. Even professional YouTubers shared their experience with the X100V and agreed that they enjoyed that camera very much, and it was just a different shooting experience for them compared to their regular cameras. Most of the people who are shooting Fujifilm for the first time, especially using the X100 lineup, mention that they have fun again to take pictures, have fun again in photography. And I think that's the reason why these videos or also reviews might lead some normal people like us, because if you watch these videos, you get hyped up about the camera and you want to buy that camera because it's get good reviews, got good opinions, etc, etc, etc. But in my opinion, the definition of fun is the problem, which might mislead you. What do I mean by that? If you look at all these review videos, most of them are made by people or YouTubers who are using cameras professionally. And that's the difference. They use cameras. They use their cameras until a certain point that they don't feel fun with that camera or camera system anymore. And then they discovered the Fujifilm X100V or X100 Mark VI here and got re-inspired, or taking photos only in JPEG because the film simulations are also a fun factor for them. I think if you are new to the topic of cameras, that might mislead you, as I mentioned, because most people are used to shoot on something like this, a smartphone. And if you are interested in cameras, starting from this point and watch all these videos about the X100s lineup, you might get the idea that only the X100 lineup will provide you that fun factor for taking pictures. But since you haven't used a camera before to compare, besides from your smartphone, I think that thought about fun is relative. Because why do I stretch that point so much? This camera costs in Germany 1,800 euros. Yeah, I think in US it's $1,600 before taxes. And at least in Germany, for some people, that's 1 month of salary. I think if you watch all these videos, including mine perhaps, and thinking you need the X100 Mark VI or the X100V just to have fun with photography, I think, in my opinion, that's not the case. Especially when you haven't shot on a camera before and coming from a smartphone. Because if you are stepping up from a smartphone, there are a lot of more cheaper options on the market. Especially if you look at the other APS-C systems from Sony, Fujifilm or Canon, or older systems from Panasonic Lumix regarding their old Micro Four Thirds cameras. These cameras you can get for about 400 euros or dollars. Even the old Sony A6000 camera, that's a really old camera for today, you can get used for 200 or 300 bucks, including a relatively good lens. With these cameras you can also start to take pictures and have fun with it, because all cameras have a much more tactile experience compared to something like this. Sure, this one is special. The X100 lineup, or in general Fujifilm, have the retro design. That's attractive to a lot of people, including me, but you also pay for that. And if you just want to have fun with photography and coming from a smartphone, as already mentioned, there are cheaper ways to enter that field, and after you use some camera systems, you might be able to appreciate or level up to something like this. To all other users, which I also count myself in, just simply love cameras, and you might one of these people. Sometimes we have multiple cameras. For example, here, as already mentioned, this is an Leica M6 film camera. I have the Nikon ZF, now the X100 Mark VI. And for different occasions I have different cameras, and it's just, for me personally, I just have fun playing around with these cameras, taking pictures, enjoying every aspect of different brands. I'm not brand loyal, I'm just having fun playing around with cameras, as I already mentioned. And that's my personal hobby, where I spend my money, and that's how I personally justify to purchase something like a new X100 Mark VI. Alright, I hope somehow this rant made sense to you. I just wanted to point out that be aware that all the X100 Mark VI videos and all the positive reviews you see, some of them are coming from people who already use different camera systems and see this as a creative outlet. And the creative outlet for you, especially as I mentioned, if you are shooting on the smartphone only right now, that might be a cheaper camera, for example. Alright, rant over. Future videos about this X100 Mark VI will come. Also, fun comparison with the Nikon ZF, I guess, since both of them are modern retro cameras, although that's not a perfect side-by-side comparison. But still, these cameras I own, therefore I will create videos about them. Also, I will take this puppy out for a shoot in the next few days, so stay tuned for these kind of videos. If you are still here until this point, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your time. You deserve the like for that. If you want to support my small little channel, you can buy me a coffee via the link below in the description, or you can check the affiliate links also in the description. And if you want to see more videos on my channel, just choose one of these videos.